this session, we're going to be talking about offline credit card processing in the Exatouch system. So the first thing I'm going to do is log in. I'm going to go to the register, and I'm going to process a normal credit card transaction. So we'll do dine-in. We'll just tap our beverages here, do a ginger ale. I'm going to tap credit. It's going to fire our order to the drink station. I'm going to dip the card. I'm going to remove my card. It's going to process the authorization as normal. We've got our item receipt. We've got our merchant and our customer copies of the guest checks. Now we're going to talk about putting the system in offline mode. So to do that, I have to have some settings made to the system first to allow me to enter offline mode. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those settings, and then we will process a transaction in offline mode. So I'm going to go home. Now you have to be a system admin or higher to be able to do this. So we're going to go to settings, account, and there's a tab that says offline processing. So there's several settings here. We're going to run through these, and then we'll go ahead and set everything up, and we'll process an offline transaction. So the very first one is offline processing. We need to turn that on. We're going to get our notice here that we are taking responsibility and risk that if we process an offline transaction, we may not get payment later when we get our connection back. I'm going to accept that risk. The second setting, total offline order limit dollars. So this is the total aggregate of the orders that you want to accept as offline. So I'm going to set mine to $250. So if I do one order or 10 orders or 20, whatever it is, if they exceed or are going to exceed $250, it will stop me on the last one and tell me that I cannot process, regardless of what station I'm at, anything higher than that amount, because that is a limit I've set. So our total aggregate is $250. The next one is our offline order limit. This is per order. I'm going to set mine to $15. If the order is over $15, it's not going to process. It's going to kick back and tell us we can only do to our limit of $15. And then it wants to know how many days should it run in offline mode. We're going to say 1 day. Okay, so we can set the number of days. It could be 1 day, 2 days, whatever it is. And this could be because we're taking orders and there's a construction in the area, or somebody cut a line, or there's a storm and there's been some type of problem with our internet connectivity, and we just don't have access. I can say 1 day or 3 days, 2 days, whatever. And then the other one here, this is sort of important, is require customer contact for offline transactions. So I'm going to turn mine on. I'm telling the system that I want my clerks to collect the customer's contact information whenever they do an offline transaction, in case there's a problem with the card, and I can reach out to them later to try to rectify it. And then the other one here, because I'm a restaurant, require tip adjustment before closing offline transactions. Yes, I want that required because I want to make sure my servers put their tips in before we complete the offline transactions and process them. So we'll hit save, and we'll return home, and then we're going to process some offline transactions. Okay, now the system is in offline mode. I'm going to log in, and I'm going to attempt to process a transaction. So I'll tap register. We're going to go ahead, we'll add another beverage here. You will see down here in the bottom that our tender types are now red. This is an indicator that we are in offline mode. We also have an indicator here in the task tray that's in red as well, the red circle with the exclamation point. That's indicating that we are in offline mode for credit card processing. And then to the right of that, you see that we have our internet icon here with the X, indicating that we have no internet access either. So I'll tap credit. We're going to get our order to the kitchen or beverage station. And then immediately we're going to get our offline processing menu. So it's going to ask us for some information here. So we'll key in our card. We'll put in our expiration date, cardholder name, the phone number for contact, and the zip code. And we're going to tap Go. We're going to immediately get our item receipt, our guest check here with the tip line and the signature line. This is the merchant copy. And then, of course, we have our customer copy. Now I'm going to place the system back into online mode, and then we'll look at our reporting capability. So when you have offline transactions, you can tap the offline indicator here, and you'll get a receipt report that will print out, and it will list all of your transactions that were offline, so we can see what our totals are, etc. You can tap that at any point, and that will print out. We can also look at our complete authorization here, so that we can see that we have several authorizations, and it's going to show here or display here in the grid as well that the order was offline, so we have that indicator as well. And I'm going to jump over to reports. We'll look at our sales reports, and we'll look at our settlement report. And we're running this for business hours today. And it is also going to give us some information here so that we can see that we were offline. And right here in the very first row, we have our approval code. You'll notice the approval code here looks slightly different. That is an indicator that we're using to break it up, but let you know that this is an offline approval. We haven't gotten it yet, so we're just using some fictitious characters here to display the approval information. It's not yet approved. We need to obviously process that transaction to get it done. So it's basically our reporting. Now to jump back to the register, if we go back to complete auth, at this point, we can attempt to complete our batch. So we can go here, we can review and complete our transactions. There's no tip at this point, but we'll just type in our 25 cents tip. We'll do OK. And we'll continue on all of our other ones the same way. Okay, so once we've completed our authorization on all of our cards that we have outstanding in transactions, we'll go to our local menu or wherever we store the close batch button. We'll close our batch. We'll get our message. We're going to say yes to continue again. We've entered all of our tips. Yes, we want to ensure we've closed the batch, and we're going to close the batch. Thanks for viewing the video.